Those parents that actually raised were upon Salafiyya when their children were born, and then they paid no attention to their children, and then you receive a phone call 14 years later, my child, brother, can you advise me with regard to my child? Say, okay, brother, how old is your child? 15 years old. How long have you been Salafi? 20 years. What's wrong with the child? Well, I sent them to state schools, and I allowed them to mix. I didn't really care about where they went and so on. But now he doesn't listen to me. So the issue isn't the deen. What's the issue? He doesn't listen to me. So now it hurts them, not because they're not worshipping Allah. It's because now the mother and father feel pain in their heart. Because the one that they loved, and the one that they raised, the one that they spent thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds upon every single year, at the age of 15, has turned his back upon his parents and couldn't give two hoots about his parents. Now they want to know, what shall I do with this child? So I say, and I have said, and I will continue to say, your phone call is 10 years too late. Because you knew, and you were listening to the khutb 10 years ago. You were listening to the durus 10 years ago. You knew what the scholars were saying over 10 years ago. Now you ignored all of that advice from the kitab, from the sunnah, from Ahlul Ilm. And now you see the reality of the bitter fruits of that which you have sown. Now you ring. What can we do for you now? Because you're already in a Salafi community. The masjid is a stone throw. If you threw the stone from the front door, it would hit the door of the masjid. Now what are you going to do? Your child knows the Salafis. You know the Salafis. What can we do now for you? You didn't care yourself, oh mother, oh father. Now what are you going to do? Because you put them into evil companionship. You sent them to schools of free mixing, where now their body is changing. Hormones are changing. Desires are kicking in. The dunya is becoming a glitter, and all you're offering them is the closed four walls of a masjid. And now they've seen that. Now how are you going to bring them back? Make dua for them. What can you do? Make dua. Make your house Islamic. Don't allow any haram to take place inside of the house that you are in charge of. You want to commit haram? Not in this house, not under this roof. Barakallahu feek. May Allah guide you, my son. But you will not do any haram under this roof. You will not shave that face in this house. You will not listen to music in this house. You will not bring movies on your phone into this house. You will not talk to women from the phones in this house. You will not disobey your mother and father in this house. You will not sleep through Fajr in this house. Because this is my house, my property. I have authority here. I can't stop you what you do outside because I can't watch you there. But in this house you will not do haram. I raised you. And I wanted for you good. I made mistakes as a father. Your mother made mistakes as a mother. But you knew Islam. You are now responsible for yourself, my son. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will take you to account. Because now you have reached that age of puberty and adolescence. That is clearly marked in Islam. You are able to get married and have children. So under this roof, then I take you to account, just as Allah will take you to account Yawm al-Qiyamah. You will not do haram under this roof. Make dua for them. Take them to Umrah, even at that age, 15. Even if they were in a Salafi community and they went to... Then there is a case of the parents who raised their children upon Sunnah and Salafiyah. They taught them and they educated them and they took them to durus and they took them to Umrah and they took them to the Dawrat and they introduced them to scholars. But that child chose for themselves, that child chose for himself misguidance. This is not now the fault of the parents. This is the fault of that own child. He is responsible for his deeds because you did your best. You cultivated him and you educated him and you taught him and you spent tens of thousands of pounds upon the education and welfare of that child. Now he goes astray. It is upon his head. You continue making dua. But you are not now responsible. He is responsible. You keep advising him. And you keep calling him to the truth. And you take him with you when you perform Hajj. You take him with you when you perform Umrah. I can't believe that we have Salafis in this community, been in this community for over 20 years, never performed Umrah once, never mind Hajj. Not even once. Salafis that have been Salafi upon the Sunnah for 10 years, never saw the Kaaba with their eyes, nor have their children. I find that inconceivable. Scholars are alive and your son has never seen an alim in his life. Neither of you. This is not the way that we raise our children. Barakallahu feekum. This is not the way. You put your children into the habit. So your child saw the face of Sheikh Rabi', saw the Kaaba, made Umrah. That your child saw Sheikh Ubaid, sat in the dars of Sheikh Ubaid. So years later he recalls, I sat in the dars of Sheikh Rabi' 20 years ago. I sat in the dars of Sheikh Rabi' 40 years ago, 50 years ago. You want your children to say that in years to come, because these are the memories of childhood that will give them strength in years to come. Wallahi, I made Umrah. Your son can say, I made Umrah with my father and my mother, and I remember I was only 3 years old, and they carried me in their arms. These memories in children, they last. Even if they go astray for a while, it's these types of things that they remember, that root, that foundation. Inshallah, one day they'll come back. And we don't lose hope. Barakallahu feekum.